"34 entries, 7 levels. This is an iceberg of the most interesting and darkest channels on YouTube. We'll start with the strange and slowly work our way to some of the most horrifying and disturbing content on the platform. Let's begin at the tip of the iceberg. Level 1. Soft White Underbelly. SWU for short is a successful channel created on April 24, 2016 by American photographer Mark Laida. Its content is focused on interviews with the objective of painting portraits of the human condition. This means that his videos feature people often looked down upon by society and served as a way for them to tell their stories.
You guys are married?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
14 years. We met in rehab 14 years ago.
Oh, you met in rehab?
Yes.
Mark achieves this by asking questions meant to get his guests to talk as much as possible and just letting them speak.
I was lucky enough to have internet in the house and computers in the house at a young age, thanks to my dad.
From addicts to ex-criminals and sex workers from all around the US, Mark's videos are somewhere between educational and shocking, being raw but still within YouTube's guidelines. His channel has 6 million subscribers, and all his other socials are also relatively successful. With millions of eyes on him, he has made a ton of money and gotten just as much criticism. Mark's videos are divisive, not so much in their content, but in regards to their ethics. Mark has a merch store, has published a book, and has many sponsors on his videos, meaning that he makes money out of showcasing people's often terrible lives. There's no shortage of people calling that exploitation, while many also come to his defense. The truth is that it's pretty gray. Mark doesn't help improve these people's lives, but he gives them a voice. He lets them be seen and heard, but he does make money from it. And while he makes money, these people don't. Jack Torrance and Nightmind. Jack Torrance's channel is one of YouTube's oldest ARGs. Alternate reality games, ARGs, are a form of storytelling that blends digital and physical media. You'll see how the two interact. At first sight, Jack Torrance's channel is a collection of random VHS videos. The videos usually feature something mundane and benign before suddenly cutting to dark or creepy footage. According to Jack, the tapes were found in 10 boxes at an estate sale 15 miles west of Austin, Texas. The people running the estate sale didn't notice them. The films vary in formats, ranging from old 35mm stock reels to Betamax, and some have been damaged beyond repair. Still, he is attempting to restore their original contents. The story, which is very hard to piece together, is largely centered around the idea that the tapes belong to some sort of killer. Of course, these sorts of internet mysteries attract internet sleuths in droves. The Jack Torrance ARG was picked up by YouTuber Nightmind, who went on a veritable journey looking for the truth. While the ARG's creator and Nightmind enjoyed their back and forth, it never amounted to much. Jack Torrance's channel lies abandoned, and the last update was half a decade ago. Hobstobe. James William Stobie created Hobstobe on February 15, 2012, and uploaded his first video on February 17th. His channel was dedicated to portraying life as a rail-riding traveler. It has 59,000 subscribers, but was never particularly popular due to the niche content it produced. Despite the main subject being traveling by riding trains, Stobie's videos were also travel vlogs and normal vlogs where he talked about his life. His videos were candid, and Stobie seems like a pretty good guy, which makes his end even more unfortunate, as one day in 2017 his channel would go completely silent. He didn't upload frequently, so people would not have noticed his disappearance until rumors began circulating about his death. Unfortunately, they were right, and James died on November 8, 2017, while trying to hop on a train. He might have fallen off a bridge, or his backpack got caught on something, and he was dragged by the train. While the cause of his death is unclear, the pain his passing caused is real. Rest in peace, James Stobie. Level 2. Hilm Mary Mary. Now known as one of YouTube's coolest projects, Hilm Mary Mary was one of the creepiest channels on the platform. With its eerie atmosphere and well-timed scares, it was pretty successful. The first video, Hello, was uploaded on July 9th, 2016 and has since amassed 1 million views. The channel documents the day-to-day of Mary, a girl who finds herself trapped in a house with almost all of her memories gone. With unbreakable windows and locked doors, her only way to communicate with the world is through a notebook. Mary also uses a camera to register her routine as she tries to make sense of her current situation. During the day, the house is mundane and quiet, but during the night, strange things happen.
Hey!
What is really happening in the series isn't very clear until the very end.
This is insane. I'm not even gonna try to understand this anymore.
But you can piece a few things together. Hilm Mary Mary is about isolation and loneliness, and the strange things happening in it, the monsters, are all related to those ideas.
Stop! What the heck? Where did you go?
But I wouldn't completely spoil it for you, as it's worth checking out even almost 7 years after the project ended. Your Local Breadman. Your Local Breadman is a fever dream of a channel that posts animations that blend comedy and horror. The animations feature Breadman as he searches for his place in life and encounters some absolutely terrifying stuff on the way. As it turns out, the world Breadman exists in is a scary place, and the story, though it's not traditionally structured, it makes no sense, is just him surviving it. The art style is unique and chaotic, complementing the video's somewhat nonsensical existential message. Meant to entertain and unsettle, the videos have spawned a subreddit as dead as Breadman's eyes. There are also 2 Instagram accounts related to the project where you can see the author and catalog of the weird creatures that appear in the videos, and buy merch. Yeah, there is a clothing line inspired by Breadman. It's a very niche type of entertainment, and it might not appeal to everyone, but the channel is a veritable goldmine of dark comedy. I highly recommend giving it a watch if you have a taste for the bizarre and ironic. Another highly recommended thing to do would be to like this video and subscribe. Let's proceed to the next level. Fantastic Adventures. Fantastic Adventures was a YouTube channel that operated from 2012 to 2019. Its content was mostly comedy skits featuring Michelle Hobson's 7 adopted children. The channel was popular and had around 800,000 subscribers at its peak and more than 350 million views on its videos. The channel has since been banned and its content has been lost. The Hobson, a family from Maricopa, Arizona, appeared to be a normal family. Sure, they were a large family as Michelle had 3 biological children before adopting 7 more. Still, in the videos, all of them appeared happy together. That is because behind the scenes of these videos, those who refused to participate or did not meet Michelle's acting standards were brutally abused by her. There were at least 11 different occasions in which police investigated the family, but no evidence of abuse was found. That was until 2019 when Maricopa police received a tip from Megan Hobson, Michelle's daughter, which prompted a surprise welfare check. Officers found the children malnourished and scarred. Michelle and 2 of her sons were arrested. However, the previous 11 reports do bring into question how social services handled the case. Megan had caught wind of the situation earlier in 2017, but their complaints had been brushed aside again. Megan eventually filmed one of the children recounting the abuse they suffered. The account is quite graphic, and it is unsettling to see a child speak about suffering in such detail. During the welfare check, mountains of evidence were finally found. Bruises, rashes, and scabs all pointed towards the kids being horribly abused. They were subjected to everything from being burned with lighters and starvation to being forced to sleep inside a closet. Worse yet, Michelle's 2 older sons both knew of what was happening and joined in on the torture. The point is that these 5 children were not only failed by their guardians, but also by the state. Arizona's Department of Child Safety had to know what was going on, but chose not to do anything about it. Apparently, Michelle used to be part of the department, well aware of how things work and how to hide her actions properly. Michelle would die of a brain injury before going to trial, and her sons would have their charges dismissed. The case had extensive media coverage, though we don't know what happened to the children afterward. We can only hope they are safe now. Level 3. Fake Mistress. Fake Mistress was created on March 9th, 2010. The channel only has 4 videos, each more bizarre than the next. The videos are strange to the point that it's difficult to describe what's going on, but each appears to be an art exhibition of sorts. They utilize horrid-looking animatronics and distorted audio to create an eerie atmosphere. The titles of each video are B. Newworld.move, I Will Survive.move, This Is Not the Place for the Luxury of Love, and White Noise 2 is also useless for understanding what the videos are about. White Noise 2 actually provides a sliver of context to what these videos were. These videos are actually from 2008. They are art installations from a yearly art exhibit at the Neurotitan Gallery in Berlin, Germany. They're the creation of German musician, photographer, and sculptor Olivia Pilz. The Neurotitan website has more info on Olivia and what her work is. The theme of her works is the violence against women through images that set a norm. She aims to subvert the idea of the passive and cute woman in a very subtle way. Lately, she has also worked on the combination of body and machine. Francine Dancer. Francine Dancer is an obscure channel that hasn't uploaded anything new in a decade, though you might have heard about her before. Francine's dancing videos have caught the attention of people online because they are interesting. To put it simply, Francine films, plays music, and even dances with one of the creepiest mannequins you'll ever see. But despite what people may say, it's all performative. Francine is an artist, and her brand is purposefully strange. Her mannequin even has a name, Starry Dancer, and is apparently meant to function as a roadie for her. While we do know the purpose of her videos, trying to piece together Francine's background is a little more difficult, as she is part local Hollywood celebrity and part misunderstood visionary. According to people who have met her before, she used to be a public access channel personality who had a variety show called The Francine Dancer Show in the days when a public access channel existed. Her IMDb page has at least 3 credits for participating in shows from the early 2000s. Nowadays, Francine appears to be homeless and not in the best state of health. Still, she continues to perform with the band Punk Bunny, who uploads often. Apator. Tor Eckhoff, aka Apator, was a Norwegian YouTuber who gained a devoted following over his 18 years on the platform. He was known for his weird comedic style, swimming in freezing cold water, and love for the outdoors. Tor's long tenure on YouTube would come to a tragic end in November 2021 when they fell through the ice at Jacob's Dam, a lake west of Kongsberg, while recording a video. Drivers rescued Tor before he was flown to Ullevål University Hospital by air ambulance. He died on November 22nd despite resuscitation attempts. His death came as a tragic surprise, as just 5 days before he posted his last video titled, "I am not dead, I am 57 today," to celebrate his birthday. Just 3 years before, Tor had been diagnosed with rectal cancer and underwent surgery, which his subscribers were very optimistic he could beat. Used to getting hurt during his videos, Tor was pretty much fearless and was often called reckless, accusations which he dismissed. Unfortunately for him, his luck finally ran out. Evalian. Evalian is one of the worst people ever on the platform. 18-year-old Veronica Bouchard used her channel as a platform to spread her hateful views of minorities. Veronica's content went unreported for an embarrassingly long time. YouTube finally deleted her channel in 2016. The channel wasn't small either. Veronica was a prolific creator and had many videos on her channel where, besides acting as a Nazi apologist, she would also be generally racist while maintaining a calm and casual demeanor in her videos. She infamously would celebrate Hitler's birthday, making him, and get this, swastika cupcakes. It makes you think Veronica might be joking, but she isn't. Ultimately, though, her channel is no more. Still, her videos can be found online, some kept by the scary amount of dedicated followers that she has. The fact that so many people agree with her or only care that she is pretty can make you lose faith in humanity. Veronica created a new channel called German Aristocrat, where she posted a video saying she would take a break from YouTube. Thankfully, she hasn't posted anything new since. Charlie Boy 22. Charlie Boy 22 is a stalker or serial killer who in 2010 asked his audience for their addresses. Besides posting Peanuts-themed horror videos, he also wanted to do an iPod giveaway. Of course, giving your address to someone who looks like this ended poorly. Charlie Boy 22 would send letters and packages to the people who gave their information. After a while, these packages would even appear inside their houses. The problem is that Charlie Boy 22 vanished from the internet in 2010, with no traces of him left on the Internet Archive or Reddit. There were no forum posts or images that could verify his existence at the time. While his videos seem legit, Charlie Boy 22 is probably an ARG. The uploader directly mentions Cystix, whose videos had the most information on the case, and posted their video when Charlie Boy 22 began uploading. While some people claim to have been part of the contest, as Charlie Boy 22's re-uploader said, "Don't believe everything you see online." Though there are at least a few more odd things about the stories, these could corroborate both sides of the argument about Charlie Boy 22 being real or not, like his suspended X account. Why was it suspended? Is there a link between Charlie Boy 22 and Smart Schoolboy 9? Their online handles are pretty similar, almost as if one took inspiration from the other. We don't have any answers, but many, many questions. These videos were uploaded just a month ago, and internet mysteries like these usually take a year or more to be solved, so we'll have to wait and see. But whatever the truth may be, the videos are very well made. They are creepy and a little goofy, but definitely worth a watch either way. The Experiment. The Experiment is a bizarre YouTube channel that hosts 5 videos. These 5 videos feature a person with a sack on their head writhing on the ground in a dark room, but that's about all we can figure out about it. The videos have very little audio. Most of them feature the person wriggling like a worm trying to set themselves free. Sometimes they do and leave the video, sometimes not. Sometimes other figures, which must be the scientists, show up as if they're checking in on the subject. This brings up to what the experiment is, which is also unclear. There was also a video where the subject was tied up in a tub with dark liquid. The video has since been removed from the channel, but savvy viewers reverse image searched the image. The image was compatible with another video in an old Russian channel called Mortis. Mortis has since been deleted, and nothing but 2 videos remain. Those videos don't contain any interesting info besides a shot very similar to the man in the bathtub, and an image that, if reverse searched, takes you to a legitimate horror short film. To complicate things further, at some point, the channel was live streaming an empty room which, according to a YouTube comment, might have been raided by police. While there are many theories about what the channel really is, we can't say anything for sure about the experiment. It doesn't seem to be an ARG as there's no puzzle or story to piece together, nor could it be any sort of promotional content. The experiment is weird nightmare fuel with roots that stretch back to old YouTube, and that's all we know. Level 4. Shy Love 2011. Created by 14-year-old Cheyenne Kircher from East Dubuque, Illinois, Shy Love 2011 is where Cheyenne documented her life and perhaps unknowingly showcased her rough living conditions. Cheyenne lived with her mother, stepfather, 2 brothers, and a third man she identified as her mother's boyfriend. Uploads suddenly stopped in October 2011 when she failed to show up to school and went missing from her home. Family and friends searched for a few days before calling the police. Police searches found a note written by Cheyenne indicating that she had run away. Soon enough, Cheyenne had been registered as a missing person and posters began to show up, so police spent the next 2 years searching for Cheyenne in the region, interviewing friends and school staff and trying to find who she could be with. In 2013, East Dubuque police handed in the case to a special team of investigators who tracked down Cheyenne's best friend in La Crosse, Wisconsin, in hopes of finally finding the girl with her. The girl broke into tears and revealed that Cheyenne wasn't with her. She said that Terry Abyssal, Cheyenne's stepfather, had been assaulting Cheyenne and had threatened her before. Terry even appeared in some of her videos where he behaved equally terribly on camera. Cheyenne's family would be interrogated by police and take the polygraph test. While all of them were able to take the test when called by police, Terry was mysteriously unable to. Of course, that was a huge red flag and the police became extremely interested in Mr. Abyssal. Once East Dubuque did manage to get a hold of him, Terry would fail the test and buckle under pressure. He revealed he had dug a grave just 100 yards away from their home, forced Cheyenne to write the letter, assaulted, and strangled her to death. Cheyenne Kircher's body was found buried there. For his crimes, Terry Abyssal was condemned to life in prison without parole. Vote Saxon 07. Created by Stephen McCullough, Vote Saxon 07 is an ancient channel from the mists of 2010. The channel focuses on toy and movie reviews with a particular emphasis on the Doctor Who franchise. Steve's channel had pretty unremarkable content, which would normally have flown under the radar despite how passionate he seemed in his videos. But his content steadily grew in quality, and over time, Steven would amass a loyal fan base. He would also make a TV appearance at the popular UK show Robot Wars, which he had been a lifelong fan of. Things were looking up for Steven until December 18th, 2022. That was when Natalie McNally, Steve's girlfriend at the time, was found dead in her house in Lurgan, Ireland. Natalie had been beaten and stabbed multiple times. She was also pregnant and the child could not be saved. Early on, Irish police ruled Steve out as a suspect as he had a pretty good alibi, a 6-hour stream he was participating in. The stream started out of nowhere and Steve was acting rather strangely during it, but nothing seemed obviously out of place at the time. Steven was never much of a streamer. He did not go live very often, and his Violent Night one was received with little fanfare. He had announced it only a couple of hours before abruptly starting. Still, there was nothing suspicious about the stream or Steven. He sounded a bit off, but Lurgan police had even apprehended a different suspect and clearly did not consider him a possible murderer yet. That suspect would later be released on bail, further distancing Steven from the case. Of course, Steven was drinking and smoking heavily the entire time and making offhand remarks, almost as if he was stressed out and anxious about something. Still, it could just have been all that booze kicking in. He even wished all of his viewers a Merry Christmas. He reflected on the nature of the holiday before ending the Violent Night stream, saying that Christmas was all about teaching love to future generations. During those days he remained at large, Stephen would attend a gathering meant to honor Natalie's memory and protest violence against women. Shortly after the event, he would be promoted to prime suspect of Natalie's murder. It turns out that his stream was fake, pre-recorded. This was made even more obvious in hindsight by his constant reassuring that he could not read the comments and also just didn't feel like interacting with his audience that day. Investigators more closely studied Stephen's behavior. He appeared very ominous, making a few odd remarks about violence, crime, and Natalie. Not to mention his insistence that he couldn't read the chat due to technical difficulties.
Because this streaming software is kind of up the left, it means I can't check the live chat, which is a real shame. So, by all means, talk amongst yourselves. I could use my phone to dip in every now and again and check it, but I've decided that I kind of hate live streams where people just sit and read comments and go, "Oh my god, yes, ask me questions."
It turns out that while the stream was playing, he traveled to Natalie's house and took her life there. CCTV footage of the area captured Stephen making his way there. This is what actually happened. Around 7 p.m., Stephen, disguised with a gray hoodie and carrying a green ASDA shopping bag, is seen walking towards a bus station in Dunmurry. Stephen waits for the bus and drops some coins on the ground as he goes to pay the fare. Picking them up, he reveals he is wearing yellow latex gloves, a key detail in the case. He makes the 90-minute trip to Lurgan and can be seen walking toward Natalie's house. At around 9 p.m., neighbors heard a woman scream. 31 minutes later, after having killed his pregnant girlfriend, Stephen can be seen, clothes changed, walking back the way he came. Stephen took a taxi back to his house. The next day, Steve finds Natalie's body and calls the police. Now under police custody, Stephen awaits his trial on May 6, 2025. MOSB 46PGH. MOSB 46PGH is a channel owned by computer programmer and future gunman George Sedini. In videos, George talks about his life, showcasing his material wealth while complaining about his lack of success with women. George clearly struggled with being shallow and trying to find deeper meaning in his struggles. One very telling moment occurs during his house tour video when he shows what kinds of books he reads. Being an awkward person, George Sedini was frustrated with his lack of social skills. His videos and blog posts documented a slow but steady mental decline, painting a grim picture of things to come. In August 2009, George would violently vent his frustrations on an aerobics class at his local LA Fitness. He opened fire on the women there, killing 3 and injuring 9 before turning the gun on himself, ending the attack. For all his worries about life, George met his fate in a banal act of evil. He ensured that people would remember and despise him forever. Dan Seeley. Dan Seeley is a notorious creep who became briefly infamous on YouTube around 2017. He would accost and film women around downtown Los Angeles. Dan has been on YouTube for a while and remains active on his channel to this day, not making the exact same content as before, but also not being any less of a weirdo. It's difficult to paint a portrait of Dan as his interests are many and all over the place. Dan is a passionate vegan and fitness influencer, political commentator, and vlogger. He seems to have a need to document his life and share his morbid thoughts on the internet. At the time, he would harass women in downtown LA, filming them and trying to strike up lewd conversations. Dan was motivated by his difficulty talking to women, but wouldn't be registered as a sex offender until he would film and upload images of a minor. He also made inappropriate comments about her in his videos, making him a high-risk sex offender. Dan has since moved from LA and seems unrepentant, not entirely uncaring of his past actions. You would think Dan is playing a character and trying to become famous on YouTube, but I don't think so after all this time. Dan is funny when he acts out of pocket, but is very concerned about his overall behavior, especially towards women. His antics went so far as to earn him the nickname of Downtown Predator. Nowadays, he doesn't have much of an audience, as his videos struggle to reach even 500 views. His channel will remain forgotten in the depths of YouTube. Venus Angelic. Venus Isabel Palermo is a relatively famous YouTuber with 1 million subscribers. She's been on the platform for 14 years and her content is focused on fashion, makeup tutorials, and lifestyle. Venus became famous for her tutorials on how to look like a doll and her appearances on TV. Nowadays, her channel is inactive and she hasn't posted in a year. Her case is more complicated than it seems, as her mother Margaret was exploiting her image for fame and money. Venus eventually ran away from her home in Brugg, Switzerland. A few years later, she married a Japanese national and moved to Japan. There, she would pick up her channel and start producing lifestyle content. In 2016, Venus would travel to South Korea for a weight loss surgery despite only weighing 53 kilograms at the time. The surgery would result in several injuries to her stomach. Shortly after that, Venus's marriage fell apart as she struggled with her poor mental health and alcoholism. Nowadays, she's been involved with controversy regarding her fetishization of Asian appearance after her 2 videos teaching how to appear Asian, after doing that for years. Leather Smoke Me. Known only as Dave, this YouTuber would post videos of himself smoking, coughing, and doing other disgusting things related to it. Dave's channel is one of the darkest to remain up on YouTube, as his videos not only chronicled his terrible habits and declining health, but also appealed to a fetish. Yes, some people have a smoking fetish, and Dave was one of them. As you can also notice by the quality of his videos, Dave's content is pretty old. His last upload was from 2011. As you might have figured out, his upload stopped because he passed away. We know nothing about Dave's personal life, but a friend, David Vector, would confirm his passing. Dave battled a severe oral cancer due to his out-of-control smoking. He continued to smoke even after the surgery. His addiction would ultimately consume him, costing Dave his life. Just as bad as Dave's lack of self-control was the fetishist community's influence on him. Snakebit McGee. Kenny Veach, aka Snakebit McGee, was a YouTuber who made videos exploring the Nevada and California deserts. Kenny was an experienced hiker, cave explorer, and all-around nice guy who would seemingly disappear out of thin air. Kenny apparently spotted and explored a strange M-shaped cave in the Nevada desert one day. While he did not film it, he recounted the cave producing a strange vibration that spooked him. Kenny would later try to find the cave again on video, but ultimately failed to. His viewers would urge him to try and find it again, with a few ominous comments warning him not to do it. But he would give in to his audience's demands and try again. So on November 10th, 2014, he would return to the Mojave and never return again. And that's about it. Kenny's car was found near a trailhead untouched. His cell phone and a few coins were found near a mine shaft, but his body was not down there. Kenny Veach was gone for good. Whatever happened to him is the subject of speculation and gained enough traction to warrant entire documentaries being made to investigate his disappearance. There isn't any agreement on what Kenny Veach's cause of death could be, or if he is even dead to begin with. Kenny's disappearance was a perfect storm for conspiracy theorists. It happened under all sorts of mysterious circumstances with little evidence left. So anything from him simply dying due to exposure to an animal attack and maybe even foul play has been suggested. It is noted that Kenny was hiking pretty close to the infamous Area 51 that day. Another interesting detail that people may overlook is the place where Kenny disappeared. The Mojave Desert around Las Vegas is infamous for its many disappearances and grisly murders. Nobody knows exactly why these happen. Sure, the environment is harsh and inhospitable, and there are dangerous animals there. but rumors of serial killers operating in the area are as common as those of alien abductions or government meddling. But what do you think? Kenny's case, because it has so little to it, is also extremely complex and to this day remains a mystery. However, it is safe to assume he has long since died, as even an experienced hiker like Kenny doesn't stand much of a chance against the desert. Catch Me Killer. In 2010, a channel belonging to a man known as the Catch Me Killer would appear on YouTube. This man would blot out his face with a black dot and muddle his voice with guttural noises. This killer would claim to be involved in the death of at least 16 people from across the country and send law enforcement agents on a wild goose chase across the US. As it turns out, the man was, at the time, 27-year-old Andrew Haley from Gainesville, Georgia. Andrew was no serial killer, but instead a hoaxer who reveled in the attention he got out of posing as a criminal online. Well, he did become a criminal for real, as he was arrested and charged with tampering with evidence and making false statements. Andrew would be found guilty on all his charges and condemned to 2 years in a work-release jail. While Andrew's story ends there, the people he claims to have killed did not. Even after all these years, these people have not been found, and if police were ever close to finding them, Andrew's sick joke all but ensured it would never happen. On a different note, Andrew's channel has been scrubbed from the internet remarkably well. Researching his name will yield little to no information, and most of what survived of his content can be found in news videos from the time. Most evidence of the case has since been lost, and his crimes have been mostly forgotten. Level 5. My Happiest Days. My Happiest Days is an ARG/art project that tells the story of a man who finds a box full of his father's old VHS tapes. The main character uploads the tapes to YouTube in order to preserve them. The tapes have degraded over time, and the main character is trying to restore them in the meantime. The videos tell 3 different stories that are interconnected. The first is about the Turner family, their lives during the 1970s and 1980s, and how their good memories together eventually sour over time. The second story is about Morgan Falsh Turner, the family patriarch, who suddenly becomes insane. The third story is about Canyon Computers, a business Morgan started alongside Marcus Lawson and Hank Brandon Reynolds. They developed a revolutionary computer device called the Turner Assembly, which could merge humans and computers. These stories connect as Morgan, who worked for Canyon at the time, was one of the first people to use their new product, the Turner Assembly. Using it changed him, making him distant and abusive, and he would eventually disappear. While the unnamed child never returns to comment on the videos, it appears that Morgan turned against his family and took some of his children with him. The ARG is small and fun to figure out, but unfortunately it seems to have ended without completion, as quite a few of them do. Big Money Tea. This YouTube channel belonged to 48-year-old Trent Paschal. Initially just a family archive, things would take a dark turn in October 2020 after Trent uploaded a 4-minute video apologizing to his children for killing her mother. His wife at the time, 30-year-old Savannah Paschal, was ambushed in their house and shot multiple times. Trent was hiding in their bathroom and attacked his wife and his mother-in-law, who was with her. Savannah's mother ran to a neighbor and called the police, but her daughter wasn't as fortunate. Police would track down Trent and wound him during a brief confrontation. Trent was in critical condition for a while but was able to make a recovery. Later, he was placed on a bond and outfitted with an ankle monitor. On April 23, 2021, Trent failed to appear in court. That is because he managed to remove his ankle monitor and steal a car at knife point 10 days earlier. Trent remained on the run for 9 months. Once authorities closed in on his location, he would ultimately take his life, dying in a Florida RV park, and thus concluding his case. Harley Dilly. 14-year-old Harley Dilly from Port Clinton, Ohio, was a YouTuber who posted content about his family life. He later created a channel called Harley Dilly 2.0 focused on NFL mobile content. His life was tragically cut short in what Port Clinton police ruled as an accident. After being missing for almost a month, his body was found stuffed in the chimney of a vacant house near where he lived. While his case is sad enough, to many people it feels unsolved. Many people cast suspicion over Harley's parents as, if you watched his videos, they were neglectful at best and abusive at worst towards him. His videos show events from only his perspective. Still, the Dillys did a few strange things shortly after Harley's disappearance on December 20th, from donating his clothes while he was still missing, to their general lack of reaction toward Harley's death. There's something shady about Harley's case. Still, other people provide a flip side. Apparently, climbing into chimneys and dying there isn't as uncommon as you'd think. But for all its apparent flaws, the case has been officially closed. That's the end of Harley's story. Level 6. A. Frost. 27-year-old Austin Harrouff's YouTube career began with experimental rap music he recorded for fun. Later, he would branch out into fitness content, and these videos revealed a new side of him. Austin appeared as a pretty spontaneous, if not a bit erratic, individual. His music uploads slowed down over time, and Austin would focus on his fitness content. Listening to Austin speak made it obvious he was never all there. So it was no surprise when his uploads suddenly stopped around 2016. A few days after his last video, Austin consumed a mix of cooking oil and hallucinogens before leaving his house. Hours later, Austin would break into the Stevens family home north of Palm Beach, Florida. There, he stabbed 53-year-old Michelle Stevens to death. Austin also fatally wounded her husband, 59-year-old John Stevens. Neighbors heard the commotion and tried intervening, but Austin would fend them off. When police arrived, he was found covered in blood and eating pieces of John Stevens' face. Austin was dragged by police, begging officers to end his misery. Ultimately, Austin Harrouff was judged legally insane by the Florida court. Austin was placed in a mental health facility indefinitely, where he remains to this day. Natural Selector 89, Sturmgeist 89. Pekka Erik Avinen was an 18-year-old YouTuber from Finland turned school shooter. His story is very similar to other shooters. He was bullied at school, struggled with his mental health, and suffered from social isolation, which would push him over the edge. As with most future gunmen, the signs that Pekka was going to get someone or himself hurt could be seen early on. Pekka, who was bullied in school, had taken to threatening fellow students with death. He was outspoken with his extremist beliefs and was interested in far-right and far-left politics. In reality, Pekka was a neo-Nazi and was growing increasingly militant about his views. His family was equally as worried and would take him to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist prescribed antidepressants to him and sent the family on their way. Pekka abused his prescription and would go days or weeks without taking medication. His antidepressant abuse would actually leave Pekka in a worse mental state than before. His mild anxiety and depression became severe, and his thoughts became more reckless and violent. These thoughts would lead him to isolate himself from the world further and turn to the internet for an outlet. Pekka created his first YouTube account, Natural Selector 89, on March 15, 2007. Many of his videos talked about natural disasters and shootings. Alongside those, he also made videos criticizing other religions and trying to disprove their existence. Overall, his channel was a place for Pekka to pour out the dark contents of his heart. The Natural Selector 89 channel was suspended on October 19th, so he created another channel called Sturmgeist 89. This channel was similar to his previous one. He began making videos showcasing his guns after getting a gun license. Pekka posted his last video called Jokela High School Massacre, 11/7/2007, in which it showed an image of the school as well as 2 red-filtered photos of himself holding his gun. Pekka also wrote a manifesto in which he tried to explain his views about the world. He classified himself as a social Darwinist and admitted to having a God complex. At the same time, he viewed the world as belonging to people like him, people who he described as mentally strong, manipulative, and naturally superior to the masses. Ironically, Pekka was none of that, and seemed like a fairly average person, if not for his increasing mental instability. On the Sturmgeist 89 channel, Pekka described himself as a cynical existentialist, anti-human humanist, anti-social social Darwinist, and other pseudo-intellectual titles. On the other hand, Pekka never lied about his intentions. He was shy and awkward, but whenever he shared his views, he made clear the kind of individual he was. This was to the point that other YouTubers at the time called him out, but it was too little too late. On November 7th, 2007, Pekka Erakavinen entered Jokela High School and took the lives of 8 people there. He fired more than 100 rounds into teachers, students, and school property. His rampage ended when police officers and paramedics arrived. He fired at them several times but missed every shot. Soon afterward, he entered a lavatory and threw his jacket and bag on the floor. After that, Pekka took his own life, ending the shooting. Jared Lee Loughner. Jared Lee Loughner tried to assassinate U.S. Representative Gabby Giffords on January 8th, 2011. He ended up killing 6 people before he was stopped by bystanders and was arrested by police. His spiral into madness was documented in his YouTube channel, which has long since been taken down. His videos featured his strange political views and his general disliking of authority. He was also a member of the Above Top Secret message board and subscribed to many conspiracy theories. Jared had been struggling with substance abuse. He was also later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. According to personal friends, he always had a hatred toward Gabby Giffords. What pushed Jared over the edge is unclear, but evidence suggests the assassination was carefully planned. So, on January 8, 2011, Lawford took a taxi to Safeway Supermarket in La Toscana Village Mall. There, he approached his target and opened fire, hitting her as well as many bystanders. 6 people were killed and 14 others were injured. Giffords was shot in the head and critically injured, but survived and made a full recovery. Loughner is currently serving a life sentence at the Federal Medical Center in Minnesota. Kelly Stapleton. The short-lived Stapleton Family Channel documented the life of Kelly Stapleton and her autistic daughter, Isabel. They lived together with their family of 5 in Michigan. The channel abruptly stopped uploading around 2013, its last video focusing on Isabel's violent outbursts. That wouldn't be strange, as Kelly preferred to write on her personal blog, The Status Quo. It turns out that Isabel was coming back home after 7 months away at the Great Lakes Center for Autism Treatment and Research. Kelly had failed to put Isabel in the school where her husband, Matt Stapleton, worked as principal. Kelly was devastated. She was growing increasingly weary and resentful of her child, her aggression, and how much time taking care of her consumed. So, shortly after her daughter's arrival, Kelly tried to put all her affairs in order and took Isabel on a camping trip. Kelly drove to a wooded area near their home, sent a message to her husband Matt, and lit up 2 charcoal grills. She told Isabel she was going to make s'mores for them while she was actually trying to commit a suicide. Matt, upon reading Kelly's message, called the police, and they were able to quickly locate the van with Kelly and Isabel suffering in different states of carbon monoxide poisoning. They were both taken to the hospital and survived. Isabel would suffer brain damage as a result, and her mother would be arrested. While Isabel recovered well, Kelly was sentenced to 10 to 22 years in prison, where she remains to this day. The case gained so much traction it was featured on the Dr. Phil show. However, the Stapleton family highly criticizes it. Level 7. Justin Moan. Justin Moan's videos were a window into his troubled mind. His content showcased a delusional man who imagined himself a political leader. Justin would go from promoting peaceful change to full-on armed conflict against the US government. He would also post strange music videos showcasing his bitterness towards the world and his family. He also wrote books, all equally bleak and nonsensical predictions of the future according to his perspective of American politics. It was around the time he joined university that he began to change and became an unstable individual. He pushed away most people in his life, though his 68-year-old father, Michael Moan, remained in contact with him. But that wasn't enough. Justin felt betrayed by the world and by his family. On January 30th, Justin murdered his father. Justin used a machete to dismember the body, and shortly after made a video showcasing his father's head in a plastic bag. The video was swiftly taken down, but had already been seen more than 5,000 times. In the video, Justin also called for the murder of U.S. federal employees. He was easily tracked down by police and arrested the next day outside the gates of Fort Indian Town Gap National Guard. Justin was trying to recruit National Guard personnel to his cause. Justin Moan's fate after this is unclear, but he is facing murder and even terrorism charges. Dolly Flesh. Leighton Allen LeBute was a YouTuber who became infamous for uploading a video to his channel where he killed 3 hamsters. The video led to his arrest and channel termination. Before this, he had a YouTube channel where he posted sick and twisted stop-motion animations depicting his dark fantasies. While Leighton is a truly disturbing individual, he is still a person. He's severely autistic and has a low IQ. Leighton was so severely bullied at school that he had to stay at home permanently, where he never developed any social skills. The situation is even more uncomfortable because he reportedly has loving, caring parents. It's difficult to say if he has always been or was made to be like this. To better illustrate this, the video where Leighton killed hamsters was motivated by one of his online friends expressing a dislike of rats to him. Leighton thought it would be a good idea and an incredible surprise to said friend if he just violently killed those rodents on camera, uploaded a video to YouTube, and sent it to his friend. Of course, the friend was mortified by Leighton's actions and called the police on him. But if you are curious, he posted some of the most disgusting sculptures there. It's genuinely vile to see, and I can't discuss or show it without deeply angering the YouTube algorithm. But Leighton is, he's oddly talented, but so twisted that it's difficult to appreciate his skill. He also comments on his posts, and it's difficult to say to what point he is just that bad, or if he intentionally tries to freak people off with his creations. He was ultimately considered unlikely to reinside and be released. Fortunately, he has since disappeared from the internet. Some of his most depraved greetings were left on his X, then Twitter, account, but it's truly horrific, so don't look it up. Just don't.